Hi everybody. So making a video, some people asked me about mixed reality settings, especially for the G2, of turning on and off projection and where to do that. And I wanted to go over a few other things. So this video is going to mostly focus on projection and not just for mixed reality. I'm going to show you how to turn it off for Oculus as well. First thing I want to show you though is when you bring up mixed reality, which you can see is already started here, and SteamVR has also started. So I'm looking at my desktop and recording the desktop there. Actually, it's probably recording me looking around because I'm in the headset in SteamVR. So you're seeing what I'm seeing in the headset as I look around. Sometimes mixed reality will come up with this setting that says OpenXR is not set to be the renderer, and you can fix it here. But I want to show you where else you fix it. You fix it also in SteamVR settings. So if you go to where you may have SteamVR docked, here's SteamVR docked in my bunch of applications. If I go to the settings there, it'll pop up the settings, right? And under the settings here, you can set the resolution. I find it much easier than hitting the cog here, because then you have to use the hand controller. Here, you can use your mouse. So I'm using the mouse to do this. And you can change the resolution, video, audio settings. Under developer, you can also look at what is the current runtime. So the current runtime is not mixed reality for OpenXR. It's SteamVR. That's what you'd want to use if you're using an Oculus headset. But since this is about the G2 right now, we want to go ahead and fix this. So I'm going to hit fix it here. It's going to pop up a permissions thing in Windows, which you can't see in the headset. And then I'm going to go ahead and quit SteamVR and restart it. After restarting SteamVR, I'm going to go ahead and check it. So I'm going to look at the desktop and go to the settings. And under developer, now it says Windows Mixed Reality is the runtime, and that's correct for the G2. To set it back for another headset such as Oculus, you can click here and set it, and then you'd have to restart SteamVR. You can see the video resolution that I'm using for the G2 is set to 52% of what the headset should be, and that works great on the 1080, and it looks fantastic. It looks way better than the previous generation of pen tile displays because it's LCD RGB and it's higher resolution. It still looks good. So anything above 52 is just going to look better and better, but obviously use more horsepower. All right, so projection, how do you set that? So let me close this. Down here in the bar at the bottom, you've got some settings here too. You can actually get your SteamVR settings here. I don't like that because then this hand controller is not as precise as the mouse. But this new smiley face down here, this is where you set the mixed reality settings, including things like disabling or enabling projection for mixed reality and DirectX 11 mode. IL2 is a DirectX 11 game, so you want that on, and I disable projection settings here, and that gives you a much better frame rate. It's the biggest jump in frame rate I've gotten, as well as it gets rid of some of the artifacts that reprojection tends to do. This you could set it in SteamVR per app setting, and then in IL2 you could tell it what you wanted it to do. Auto or motion vector are two different choices. Auto will just choose what it thinks is appropriate, and motion vector is a different method of reprojection. But disabled works best for me. At the frame rates I'm seeing, I don't notice the issues, and if anything, it's an improvement in visual clarity, less artifacts, and better frame rates. So after that, you'd want to restart everything. I didn't change the settings, so I'm going to just go ahead and leave that go. Real quick on the desktop here, I will show you in Oculus. If you're running Oculus, there is an Oculus debug tool that is under the folders in Oculus. You can see it shows it's under Program Files, Oculus Support, Oculus Diagnostics. It's the Oculus debug tool. If you double click that, there are lots of options in there. One of them is projection. This asynchronous space warp is their projection system. And by default, it'll automatically re-enable every time Oculus is rerun. So you have to manually go in here and disable it every time. Some of the other settings that are important are the pixel override here and the encode resolution depth. These settings are great for a Quest 2. I run this for a Quest 2, I run this at about 1.3. And then the resolution here is normally 1800. I bumped it up to 2320. And then I set the resolution in SteamVR to 56%. And that's what gets me 2320 in the Oculus Quest. And it looks about as good as the Quest, the Reverb does at its resolution. Just about as good. It's not quite as good. The lenses aren't quite as good. But otherwise, it's also a very good headset. Okay, so that's where you do it for Oculus. All right, so I'm going to kill this video. That's just about projection. I'm going to do another video about how I start up the headset, and then I'm going to do another video about IL2 settings. Thanks.